Welcome back, you guys, to the Daily Thinker podcast. This episode will be great. It's gonna be a great episode, so make sure you stick around. Make sure you don't get up and go get some food. Or if you do get some food, whatever you're gonna do, just make sure you press pause and come back, because this is gonna be a great episode. So last week we got a question. We did a live stream. We had a question. They said, "How can blacks as a people group grow collectively?" And so I said, you know what? I need somebody to come on here and talk about this. So I have Siobhan Abrams to talk about this. Siobhan, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Yourself?
I'm doing good. Yes, excited for this episode. I think you can hear it in my voice. Can you?
Yeah,
I'm excited. I'm excited. So Siobhan, she has done so much. I mean, she's the founder of the National Urban Bank Investors Allegiance. So a black founder we have on the show. So I'm excited for that. And also she's in like one of the top, I think this is like, isn't it the top for the top IQ people? This
the Mensa high IQ.
Mensa high IQ.
Yeah.
Like, I'm amazed. And so I'm excited. She has a bachelor's degree in information systems and a master's degree in industrial technology. Over 20 plus years of software development and, doing cybersecurity, so many different things in the tech space. But we're not here to talk about tech. We're here to talk about how we can grow as blacks collectively. So how can we really grow as blacks collectively, Siobhan? How can we make that happen?
Well, a lot of, I can't really talk about growth until we talk about the roots. Because you can't grow anything without having roots.
The root, yes, so true.
So some of the things that, as a lot of our history has been erased or rewritten, and there's some stuff that we even think that we know now about our history that just I want to clarify and debunk just before we think about how we can grow. And I'm going to be talking about how we grow economically specifically, and because a lot of times we think that we try to have the black businesses, and we think that something's not right. It's like not growing as much as you see our partners, like even other people in other cultures that are not Caucasian. Because you see like the Asian businesses are growing and Mideastern businesses are growing, and so how can we grow collectively? And I think that what we have to understand is that we have been we actually a lot of people blame they're still in the slavery mentality. Like slavery has set us back mindset wise. It caused a lot of issues in the black community, of course. However, we already overcame the damages that were caused by slavery. And the reason I say that, and I'm meaning this economically. Now, of course, there's mental damages that we always have. Like there's never a full recovery, of course. But I mean, like on an economic scale, there was a time where we had over 40,000 black businesses in the nation, and that was in the early 1900s. And a lot of, and it wasn't just in one location. This was everywhere. So Booker T. Washington actually started the National Negro Business League, and he's I was researching when I was reading about more of Booker T. I really was surprised at how much he did, because I feel like I learned about Booker T. during Black History Month, but I didn't learn about all the things that he did. I didn't know that he did so much, and I would like suggest that anybody either get some books of his and research him more, because I would think that he was the founder of Black America, in my opinion. And so he had it was between 1900 and 1930, the mid 1930s, we had it's considered the golden age for black businesses, because it started off with, I think in 1910 it was like 12,000 black businesses, grew to 40,000, and we were doing really well during a time. That was the Harlem Renaissance period. In the we're going on 100 years. This is the centennial of the Harlem Renaissance period right now, and that was a time that we were thriving in everything, in music and education and writings and just fashion and like everything. We were thriving. And also during that time, you have the, like in May 10th, 1930, the Divine Nine was established. So we had the Divine Nine and all these HBCUs, educated people working together, collaborating on business and money. And then we had this district. A lot of people have heard about, they heard about the Black Wall Street. And I like to call, it's called Greenwood Avenue. And I actually like to call Wall Street the Black Greenwood Avenue, because what people don't know is that Greenwood Avenue was making money before Wall Street. So that's what people don't realize. And so we had all of that. And that district was 6 square miles of businesses, of Black-owned, wealthy businesses and Black-owned properties, houses. This was the neighborhood. It was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, that the wealthy Black people lived. They wanted to be separate from the oppressors or previous oppressors. They wanted to be separate from that. So they had their own neighborhood. Booker T. Washington's businesses were more integrated with, they were still separate, but they were, he wanted to integrate more with the people, like with white people, and not, the people that were actually helping out. He was kind of, he stayed close to kind of connecting businesses together, collaborating with people more. But this district did not. So it was kind of like this, they were going on at the same time and everything. And so that was a lot. So we thrived.
Yeah.
During that time.
And
so there's not.
Yeah, it's not. And so I like what you said too, because coming back financially, that's extremely important, because I feel like we can get the economics down, we gonna be all right. We gonna be fine then. And I think we always looked at we never had nothing, like we were always poor. It was never a time where we just thrived and we were doing great. But it was a time we were doing great financially. Right. Yes. And I see that now, like a lot of people getting back, these Black businesses are growing. People are helping Black businesses. So I think I'm seeing this like come back around, seeing a lot of more Black entrepreneurs, not just trying to go the regular route, just go to school, right, get a degree. Yeah, like, you know exciting. What? I'm going to build my own business. I'm going to do my own thing. Yeah. And that's exciting to me. I really love to see that. And like you do that. You got your own, you do that yourself. Right. And is that like
worked for anybody else since 2011?
Right. You haven't worked for anybody since 2011. So like, with just that type of mindset, I feel like a lot of people want that mindset, but a lot of people don't know how to just apply themselves. Like, is there anything that somebody can do, like any type of advice? Because you can just see like a regular worker who says he wants to have this business, but he doesn't put in the extra work. And everyone thinks like entrepreneurship is so cool now. Right. For some reason, like in 2011, entrepreneurship wasn't cool. It was like kind of dumb for you not to go to college. You gonna start our own business? What? Like, you gonna fail. But now it's cool and everybody wants to do it. And so, and I feel like the turn back rate it's kind of horrible. Like a lot of people, they might do it for like 2 months and stop. Like, right. How can they keep that up and really, really like just build a business?
I think that the main reason that a lot of people stop is that we have to be connected. We're tribal people, and even with that, I think that honestly, I think that the United States copied us when it comes to collaborating together when they created the how the stock market made money. Because when you think about it, these wealthy white men don't like anybody. They hate themselves. They have so much tension in between themselves, but they designed a system to connect together and make money off of each other by still, even though they hate each other. So it's kind of like we don't even beef like that. They try to make it seem as like they put lies in our community all the time. They make it seem like black on black crime, like we can't get along. We get along better than anybody else. Like we actually are very good at collaborating together as teams, and I think that we had to develop a structure that's connected but separate. And one of the things that I like to look at is the way that, fast forward or rewind or wait, both of them. But like, but no, it's because I wanted to talk more about the Divine Nine. But I actually want to get into before, why the black businesses stopped in the first place. Mm-hmm. So we have to look into that, like the back then, because it's like, okay, we were thriving, and then it stopped suddenly in the mid 30s, and so I think that we have to be aware of what caused it, because a lot of times we think that we're not thriving because they had us enslaved, and the slavery stopped in 400 years ago. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people think that that's the reason why we're not economically great, and then of course the lies that they pour in within our communities to make it seem like we hate each other, that we always pull each other down. Those are lies that they put so that they can hide the truth, because the truth is that they were jealous. We were attacked. Our business owners in the early 30s were attacked. During the time that we thrived the most, during the Black Golden period age, that was the same time of their Great Depression. And so you have a bunch of people that are watching the people that used to be under them. They were doing well when they were growing, when there were slaves. Their businesses were making money, of course, because they didn't have to pay any workers. and they were sitting on their butts just getting money, and then when we were freed, we started making money because we were the ones who were putting the effort in. We were working, we were collaborating. They did not like that at all because they were under a Great Depression. And so that one of the ways, the first attack, of course, was the Tulsa Massacre. And I would suggest that people read up on that. I don't want to go into detail about that because that makes me angry every time I go into detail about it, because it was
horrific,
right. Like, if you don't know about it, then just read up the Tulsa Massacre, the Greenwood Avenue. Read up on that. That's going to make a lot of people upset when they know that what happened to the wealthy Black district. It's just like somebody going into Manhattan, New York, and destroying everything and burning everything down in Manhattan. And it's like somebody did that if somebody did that in the early 20s, if they went to Manhattan and they destroyed everything, how would the United States be right now? You know, if they just burned up Manhattan and destroyed everything and beheaded everybody there and blocked people from coming and rebuilding. So that's what happened. That's what happened in 21. So that was the wealthy district. That wasn't the rest of the businesses. And so that's why the Harlem Renaissance was still going on. So because at first they're thinking, okay, we're going to attack their wealthiest district. That didn't stop us. We still continued to thrive. And we had businesses all over, maybe 30-something states?
I think more. Around 30.
Yeah. It was a lot of businesses that we had, but it was like 40,000. So they probably knocked out several hundred, but it was still something that we all suffered from it. But it was, Booker T was still, actually I think, I'd have to look up to see when Booker T passed away. So I think it was in the 1918 maybe. But when Booker T passed away, he passed away from health problems, and so he had a team of leaders. Mm-hmm. This is basically the second attack. There was two specific attacks on us. The first one was the Tulsa Massacre with Greenwood Avenue. The second one was after Booker T passed away. There was a lot of leaders. Booker T's leadership hub was in Tuskegee. That's where a lot of people met. That's where they had, that was basically where the leaders and the intellectuals met to discuss Black businesses. These are the business owners. And so in 1932, some people probably heard of the Tuskegee Experiment. And if you haven't heard of it, basically the Tuskegee Experiment, they took Black males and they injected syphilis in them without their knowledge. And it killed off a lot. It was maybe 400 to 600 Black men that were involved in this study, and 30% survival rate. So you killed off 70% of the people that were involved in this study. Now, what the history books do not mention is that these were the Black leaders. These were the Black business owners. These were the collaborators. So you have all of the black leaders. That's just like somebody taking all of Congress and the Senate and the president and killing off 70% of them. That's what that's like. 70% of our leadership and business owners, like you take the CEOs of the Fortune 500 companies too, kill them off, 70% of them. And then you just, that's what happened. They killed off and they offered, so the experiments happened because the black leaders, they wanted to take care of their health. So they were in good conscience. They're thinking, since Booker T passed away, he passed away too young. We're going to have an initiative. We got businesses, we got families. We're going to take care of ourselves health-wise. So they wanted to get their blood tested. So they thought they were making a good decision. They thought that they were doing a good job. They trusted the wrong people, and they trusted the enemy. They thought that they could, and the enemy killed off. And that's this kind of shady stuff that happens, though, when you see, just when people get jealous. They saw that when they saw a way to kind of betray us, they pretended to give us health care at that time in the 1930s, and they killed off our leaders.
Right, and that's just like you having a brother or something. You see that happen a lot. You see that happen in real life. It happened in real life. Yeah. You see situations like that when somebody gets up and they've been teaching the younger. You've been teaching a younger brother how to do this, how to do that, how to play ball or football or whatever. And now he makes it to the NFL. He makes it to the NFL, and you make it to the NFL too. But he's much, much better than you in the NFL. You're not as good as him, so they stop looking at you. They looking at your little brother now. Your little brother thriving, and you over there barely getting the contract. And so somebody can get jealous just like that. You know what? Since my brother, he want to shine, okay, and potentially hurt him and end his career. I mean, you see stuff like that happen, and that's the same thing that happened when you talk about this injection of syphilis. I mean, to take out 70% of business owners and leaders, first generation leaders. These not 8th generation, 10th, 12th generation leaders. These are first generation leaders. So they're not even teaching their kids yet. They are really on trial and error, but they're thriving doing this trial and error. Right. And so they're learning a way. And now they want to give the game to their kids so the kids can give it to their grandkids and so on and so on. But that never got to happen because you killed off the first generation of people who tried to start a business.
Right.
And like when you kill off the first generation, it's over with. Right. It's over with. It's hard to come back from that.
Right. It is hard because not only you got the families, people dealing with emotional pain. So you got nobody's gonna know what.
Right. Nobody gonna want to push a business. I'm dealing with emotional pain. Let me grieve right now.
Right.
And how you gonna take care of a business? You don't know much about the business. You gotta learn it, and then you gotta grieve. Right. So it's like which one is more important? And I think at that time more important is grieving. I mean, you losing a loved one, you losing your husband, and you don't know why.
Right. Because they didn't even acknowledge the Tuskegee Experiment. The United States. This was the United States of America who did this, but they didn't acknowledge it until the 70s.
Right, and it's not a conspiracy. Like, this is a fact.
It's a fact.
It's a fact, not a conspiracy. They committed. They actually accepted.
They reimbursed the families.
Right, yeah.
Because they admitted. So when the United States is giving out money to people, then they really did it.
Yeah, they really
This really happened. So they reimbursed the families, but they didn't. But the thing is, the economic impact was so much deeper than just the immediate families, because this was our leaders of the economy, the first generation leaders. And so they knocked everything out. And then, and that's when so that was in 1932. Then the Great Depression ended in 1933.
Right. And I wonder why. I wonder why the Great Depression ended so quickly.
It ended. But then they offered, so you got I think Roosevelt, he had the New Deal, and it was in 1933. He established the New Deal Agreement, which a lot of the New Deal Agreement had a lot of plans for black people. So again, they're like, we're going to make some plans for you guys. They see, because you got the people dying off in 1932, so these leaders. And then in 1933, that gave us a year to suffer a little bit, because our finances, dropping, people can't pay their rents, and they can't, like, they're actually, like, we're going through, people are getting evicted, they're getting foreclosed, they don't know what to do because the leaders are gone, the money's not coming in, and so you got a lot of people up in the air. And so what did the United States do? They said, we have a solution for you. In 1933, now remember, when were we allowed to vote?
1965.
1965. So you got the United States of America coming together to organize a solution for the black community before they even allowed us an opportunity to vote. You think that was a good idea?
No.
So what they did was they built the slums, they built the ghettos, they built the projects. They moved us into areas in the slums and project areas, and they made it seem like this was a solution to our suffering, our businesses. We didn't, and get this, we don't know at the time that they were responsible for killing off our leaders. So we're trusting them to put us in housing now. And they called that they had the new Negro Welfare Council that was in 1934. And so you got people depending on welfare instead of business ownership. And you got people moving into government-owned houses. And so that happened. Then we started
that the government
decline.
can take away anytime you can become homeless.
Yes. They can establish these rules and they can make it. And so 1935. So we were thriving until 1935. We thrived till 1935. So, like, if anybody thinks that that wasn't even 100 years ago. So that's one of the myths I want to debunk, is the fact that when people see the Donald Trump hats, they say when it says "Make America Great Again," and people are like, America was never great. And I mean, like, I'm not supporting anybody at all, but America actually was great between 1900s and 1900 and 1935. When they was in the Great Depression, we were in a Renaissance. That was the best time period.
Best time period for us.
Great for us.
Yes, great time period.
So yes, I would love to make America great again for 1900, 1935 when we were thriving.
Right, because we were. And they don't talk about that in school at all, especially in public schools. You're not going to hear that. You're not going to see it in the books as well. You're not going to learn about Wall Street at all.
No.
Like, they played it, the Black Wall Street. Like, they, Ms. Lee Harper, she talked about that at church one day, and people were like, I never heard of Black Wall Street before. And I'm like, wow, this is crazy. Never heard of Black Wall Street before, and we are black. And that's like one of the most significant impacts in our history,
that was our
in this country.
History. That was our Manhattan.
Right. And it got taken away. And so just trying to come back from that is extremely hard, but it can happen. Because if you can come out of slavery to wealth, I feel like if we can come from wealth and we drop down to poverty, I think we come back to wealth. Right. And it's just different ways we need to establish, as you said, like, we need to team up, work together, support each other.
Yeah. So now back to the Divine Nine. This was the only thing that was not destroyed that was established during that time. That was ours solely, and like that belonged to us. And so this was established in 1930. That's why, like, I love the fact, like, I'm not in a sorority or anything, but I love the structure that is in place, how they start off young in college age, and then you got people meeting up when they're older and still connecting. I love that. And like, I wish that I would have joined something, and maybe anybody in the comments can say which sorority do you think that I would have been in? So I let people decide that, and maybe I'll see, and maybe they can make me an honorary member. But the Divine Nine, I think that we can look at that, see what the pattern that they took, like starting from the 1930s, and maybe even during the time of the Great Depression, what were they doing? What were some of the meetings that they had? Like, what were they doing during that time when the black economy collapsed, when the leaders were gone? Wow, their leaders were not touched. Their leaders were still there. They were still, like, actually, I think that they kept some of that stuff private. I don't think white people knew anything about the Divine Nine until, like, I don't even think that was, they didn't know about it.
Wow.
Like, I'm thinking like that was private. Like,
it probably was private though.
Right. That's
Probably had to be in private.
right.
Probably have no choice but to keep it private.
Heck yeah, everything was getting attacked.
Right.
That's probably
right.
like cause
Can't make it public.
Right. Especially like seeing the wealthy district get attacked because the Divine Nine was established 9 years after the Black Wall Street was destroyed. So they knew at establishment that they had to keep that a secret, probably.
Right, unless they wanted to get that destroyed too.
Right.
So it's sometimes good to keep stuff a secret. You know, sometimes it's good. Sometimes you just need to.
Sometimes we just don't need to be telling our
just
business.
Don't tell your business all the time.
So yeah. So it's not like it was in a negative way. It's like they were meeting up. They weren't trying to do anything to attack anybody. They just was doing their own thing privately.
Right.
And so I think that the connected, like one of the things that I would like to see more of is, because like you have black churches, I would like to see them collaborating regardless of like denomination and things, just right. As a whole, because you got the different denominations. It's just think of it like different tribes, you know? And so you don't all have to believe in the same thing, but we all know that we deal with the same issues as right. a culture. And so that's one of the things that I think that we can do to move forward, just try to, because we already have these things established. And it's already private enough. They're not in our business in the churches.
Right, that's true. And so, yeah, the church can do that in a way, team up together, collaborate together, and just put all this other stuff, like, behind us. Like,
right.
I mean, put like, all these non-essential issues behind us, like what we should wear, like, stuff like that.
Right.
Like, those things don't matter. Like, let's get to the real issues of what's really going on. Let's team up together. Like, some churches don't even want to collaborate because you know what? Over there, you said I got to wear all white, but over here, you saying that I gotta wear a skirt. So you know what? We can't talk. We can't do business.
Right.
And that I mean, it's not even essential like to any single thing about our faith. Like it's not essential at all.
Right. And so that's some of the things. It's just like you don't have to step away from what you believe in, but you just know that the person that's in front of you, that's the other denomination or the other person, the other culture of that we all share the same issues. We all share the same attacks. And so. And to know that even with and like how do we prevent attacks from happening in the future? And I think that it's not as bad now because of the fact that we're looked at as weak as a people. Mm-hmm. The only thing that's a problem is the fact of the fear that people have of the black men. There's always a problem. Like black men are bigger. They're more dominant. The voices are stronger, that's why you got the narratives are strong black man voice. And so, that intimidates people. And so what I wonder, like I try to think of like what to do to, we can't change the way people look at us because they're going to be like, you can have a lion that's a lion and the lion itself is domesticated, but at the end of the day, the lion is a lion, and then you're going to be afraid of the lion. And so we can't force people to say, don't be afraid. They're going to be afraid because that's just, they're naturally afraid and they're going to be afraid. And so we can't force people not to be afraid of something they're afraid of. That's something that they have to deal with internally with them. So we can't control that. But one of the things that I do think we can control is that not allowing people who are afraid of us to determine the rules that allow us to live when it comes to laws and legal wise. Like, I think that we can police our own neighborhoods. I think that we can hold our own courts. And I think that there's got to be a way to do that they obviously are not doing a good job. Like, that's like, yes, they were doing their job. They weren't doing a good job. Like, they weren't doing a good job. So even if the people, and I'm not going against the people who are doing their jobs, but just we know as a culture that a person is afraid. If you got somebody that's afraid of a lion and they think that a lion is attacking and they've got a gun, they're gonna shoot the lion, and so that's just the way that they respond, and so they shouldn't be in that situation anymore. So I think that we have to establish something that allows us to police our own neighborhoods, but not force them to be out, but just we can start our own police force ourselves. We don't need a government to do that. We can start our own enforcement for our own people, not to attack them or anything like that, but just start policing our own people first. You know that they don't get there till 30 minutes later anyway. So we can establish our own community. It's not even illegal to do that. They have neighborhood watch committees anyway. And so we can establish a structure that polices our own community. It gets there first so that they don't even have to be there. They don't even have to show up. And we can start that. They have security guards in places, you know, like they have, like if you have bodyguards and security guards, they do the stuff before police anyway.
Right.
Like you guys, like I was I lived in a country club, and it's a guard-gated country club. So they don't even let police in unless you allow them to.
Oh, wow.
Spanish Trails Country Club. Yeah, they told me, like, that's one of the reasons I moved in, actually, because they were just like, even if the police come at the door, they do not allow them in because they have their own rules, their own structures, and their own security guards. And so they don't even let the police interfere because they established those boundaries. And I think that we can kind of take that model and develop our own. We can just call them security guards if we don't want to call them police, because they might feel some kind of way if we call them police. They might think that we're trying to design something to attack them, and we're not. So we can say security guards even. We can call it that. So we can have our own security guards in the projects, in the neighborhoods that see a lot of police in and out police activities, and then we can.
And that would stop a lot of crime, though, too, because people gonna be more conscious of what's going on in the neighborhood.
Right.
They're gonna be more conscious of who's in the neighborhood,
and they're gonna know
who's
people.
watching the neighborhood, and they're gonna know people.
Right.
And plus, they ain't gonna say, okay, we're gonna have enough time to run or get away, blah, blah,
they're
blah.
gonna know.
Ain't nobody watching this neighborhood. See, that's how people go into neighborhoods. Nobody watches this neighborhood.
Right.
Like, this neighborhood is free as open. Like, let's go in. When that neighborhood is secured, ain't nobody playing in that neighborhood.
Exactly.
Ain't nobody going around and messing with that neighborhood. It's over with.
And then if it's people within our own community, they're gonna know them.
Right, they're gonna know them.
They know your mama. You know, it's like how somebody gonna try to get into an argument. It's just like, boy, I know your mom. Like, stop that. You know, and we know how to deal with our own people, and so that's one solution I think is a major one because of the attacks on police. We don't have to we plead all the time for them to stop attacking us. I'm gonna just say this is what I believe, and a lot of people are gonna get mad, but that's not gonna happen. That's not gonna happen. It's not there. Our oppressors are never going to stop attacking us. If we allow an opportunity for them to attack, they're going to attack. That's just, it's in their nature. It's never going to stop. Period. So we need to stop. Even like I say, stop trying, because it's just like you don't see. Imagine if the Nazis were creating laws for the Jews still, and the Jews were begging the Nazis, oh, please stop killing us. Like if the Nazis, after all the stuff happened, the Nazis were still in charge of the Jews. Can you imagine?
It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen.
It's impossible.
It's not going to happen. They're still going to have that hatred. There's still going to be underlying things. So we can't expect it to happen. We don't have to ask permission from our oppressors, period. Like, we do what's right, yes, but we don't have to ask permission from our oppressors. We do not have to ask permission. Stop shooting us. We don't have to ask permission from our oppressors. We just need to do things on our own so that they won't have to do that. Like, we have to eliminate them, but not in a way of violence. We just have to eliminate them from the need to be there in the first place.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's in black communities. Now, when it comes to other stuff like black people being targeted in areas that's predominantly white, that's something else, and we just have to figure out what to do with that. But I think that that's still going to happen sometimes. And I get the police called on me. Like, even when I'm looking at properties, I had police called on me and stuff, like, just because. Right.
Okay. So yeah, you was a real estate agent or just was a real estate investor?
Investor.
Okay, real estate investor. So did you run into any problems like with that as a black woman being a real estate investor?
I don't even have the time to talk about the amount of problems I ran into.
You should give us like one story. If you want to. I don't want to make you go all the way back. If you
I'm just like, I have to. Let me think, because all right. This is because it's a big story. It's a big story, but I can make it short. So I invested in these condos in front of, it's on the strip in front of the Rio Casino. 8 condos. I got them for really, really, really cheap. All right. Because I'm like researching and seeing these auctions. They were HOA foreclosures. During a small window of time, I was able to invest in a lot of properties that were under condo association foreclosure. So they owed money to the condo association, and I was able to acquire ownership from buying these condos. I got the condos for dirt cheap. I'm not even gonna say how much, but they were good. I got 8 of them, so I got 8 of them. I bought 8 of them, so so they were dirt cheap. I didn't get any.
They were
loans.
too cheap. 8.
I didn't get it. I know I should have just got one.
Okay, you should.
So I should
have
have just got after thinking through this again. I'm like, I should have just got one of those.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? I went from because I did what I would do when I started investing in housing is I bought my first house under a tax lien. I sold that one, and then I bought 2 more, and then I sold that one, and then I bought 8 condos. What was I thinking? That's too much to handle for one person who's just doing one at a time.
Yeah, it's too much for one person.
Right. So
you need a whole team of people for that.
Exactly. And I had a team of people.
Okay.
I had a team of people, but it was but we're just starting. Think of me as I'm just starting off. I don't know anything about real estate.
Right. So this where you was just starting in real estate.
Yeah. So I'm going from software engineering to investing in real estate, and then I just went in full force. Okay. After maybe a couple of years, I was like, okay, 8 condos. So yeah, and but what happened? I think after there was one of my workers had a error. It was an issue with one of the condos. I think that because it was some stuff wasn't organized, but one of the condos because these were vacant for several years. They were nasty too. When I had to there was meat from 3 years in a refrigerator type of nasty. When you get into them, so it wasn't so we had to clean them, and so some of the condos didn't have walls or floors, so this wasn't just 8 bright, shiny, empty, clean condos. They required work, so it wasn't an easy street. We had to clean them up. We only had 3 of them that were good out of 8. Before I still had work to do on them, flooring work and just kind of renovations. So it still would cost more, but I had 3 of them that were good. But there was one of them that was on our list, to be renovated that we didn't open up yet. But it was after owning them for a couple of years, and so it was we decided one of my workers needed to because the way that I recruited people is I was recruiting some of the people that were in need of housing to basically people of color, of course. Everybody on my team was black. But there was a homeless guy that was, just wanting some money. He was a young guy, looked like he was really young, should be in college and stuff, shouldn't be homeless, but he was wanting some work to do, and so I exchanged housing for work, and okay, well, so I looked at I had my other worker look at the list and say, hey, there's a vacant property that's underneath me. We can just fix that one up, and so. We cleaned that one out, took it out, because we hadn't, think of unlocking the condos and stuff because they were vacant for so long. You want to do those one at a time anyway instead of all at once because it's, really nasty, a lot of work to do. So we cleaned that out, and it was underneath us. And then, but something happened where that wasn't our unit. It was vacant, but it wasn't one of our properties that was listed on the, it was listed on the printed paper, but it wasn't listed on the assessor as ours. And so it was a mistake. But the people that claimed to own it had called the police on me because they saw, and they because they were claiming, because there was stuff that was in there, and I put it in another unit because there was still good things. So I was like, oh, this is good furniture. Just clean this up, throw out the trash and keep the good stuff. And so they ended up, they basically, I think they did this stuff on purpose. Of course they did it on purpose, but this lady called the police, and she had the security guard that she called first because they had security there. And the worst part wasn't I mean, the interesting part was the security. So I wasn't at the property at the time. I was at home, but they were calling me, and I'm just like, because they were trying to.
You're just like, why y'all calling me? Like,
right. So because I was like, because what we did, because I actually had a condo unit there myself that I would do. Like I was living there, and it was my office too. But when I found out that that was somebody else's unit that I put the guy in, I ended up just moving out and putting him in my unit personally. So I just moved on a friend's couch and put him in my unit as soon as I found out it was somebody else's, because I didn't want to, because I wasn't trying to take anybody else's stuff. Like, I wasn't trying to do all that. So I thought that, I'm like, okay, well, if this is somebody else's, then we'll move you out. We'll put you in my unit, and I'll figure out where to go from there. So that's how I handled that. And so by the time they got to their place, they had no reason to call the police. We wasn't in there. Right, so okay. It was just like, okay, why you keep calling the police? And so so I came there because I think they were saying some stuff was missing. And I'm like, okay, well, I got all the things that were in your unit. So let me show you where it's at so you can go ahead and get it. And so I went to the condos, and the security guard put me in handcuffs for no reason. All right,
so he just like put you in handcuffs as soon as you came to the condo?
Not as soon as I came there. He was talking to me for a while. I unlocked the thing, showed the furniture stuff, and the security guard put me in handcuffs.
Wow, like after you just showed
and I found out later on that it's illegal for them to do that. He actually shouldn't have put his hands on me at all. I didn't know that wasn't supposed to happen at the time, but I thought, because I was just like, well, if you have to arrest me for this, then I guess I'm going to jail. Like, I'm thinking like, because I'm like, it's an honest mistake. I have the list. I had my paperwork, and stuff. So that was what happened. And but when I should have knew something was up when he took the handcuffs off before the police got there, because he took the handcuffs off, then the police came. But they were. I hope you edit some of this out, because
it's fine. No, I want to hear like the story. This is long.
Yeah,
it's fine.
But what happened is they had a black guy that was with them. Like, it was a group of people. There was a white lady that was jumping up and down, like, "You're gonna go to jail. You're gonna go to jail." She was saying this to me repeatedly.
Oh, so she was telling you, child, you gonna go to jail? You gonna go to jail?
I've never seen this white lady before in my life. So it was her. It was the HOA person that was in the office who just recently stole my work truck. Just recently, because we already was having beef with the HOA, because I was emailing her back and forth because she illegally towed my work truck. For real. And she knew she did. And she was there, standing there, because she told me after, because she was just like, "I'm just going to have to take your name off the thing." Like, she told me that I basically wouldn't get my truck back after this whole scenario that same night. So I'm just like, okay, she was up to no good. But so there's two white ladies, one of them jumping around, just excited. And then there's this big black dude, right, that was wearing all white. And I'm just like, this is a sellout guy. And he was trying to talk negative about me. Like, he was trying to talk down on me as a woman. And he was trying to say he want to punch me in the face. And like, he was basically trying to say that this was his unit and somebody stole his things. And so me thinking that, because I had the kids clean up, I'm trying to make, I'm starting off business-wise. Like, I'm trying to make business decisions on how to get things done as cheap as possible. So I had my son's football friends clean out the condo for some, in exchange for some pizza. So that's how the condo got cleaned out. So I was just like, oh, if they stole something, then I'm going to get it back, because, I'm going to write down, I'm going to see who took it, and then we'll get it back to you. That's what I'm thinking in my mind. Like, okay, if they took something of yours, they probably thought that, I'm thinking that that's a valid thing. They probably thought it was nobody's, and they took it. And then I'm going to get it back from them, and I give it back. So I'm like, let me, I had my phone. Let me look. Like, well, so what did you, what's missing? He said get this. This condo was vacant for 8 months total. Like, that's what the guy that was my worker who lived right above it. So he knew there wasn't anybody in it. So it was vacant for 8 months total, and no electricity for 8 months. So this guy says what was missing was 3 flat screen TVs. I'm like writing this down. I'm thinking like, he said about 10 red bottoms. Me, I'm a nerd. I don't know. I didn't even know what red bottoms were. So, so I was just like, what's a red bottom? Like, can you describe? And then he was just like, he had to tell me it was a shoe and what size. I'm like, okay. And so then he's like, because he's telling me things that I don't know what it looks like. And
he's telling you stuff you never like heard of, like
stuff I had never heard of, but stuff basically hood rich stuff that I'm just like, I'm not even around enough hood rich stuff to know what it is.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there being naive. I'm just like, okay. And so then he said he had a Rolex watch. And I said, I'm thinking that he's telling the truth. I'm like, okay. And then I said, well, describe the Rolex. And then he was trying to describe it. And I'm like, you got a picture of it? Because I'm just trying to think in my mind. And then he's like, and then I was like, wait a minute. Because I'm like, he's lying. I didn't know he was. I'm just like this. Because I just looked at, because when I was writing stuff down, and I just looked at him like, wait, you don't got a picture of your Rolex watch that you left up inside of this condo for 8 months? Wait a minute.
So first of all, you left your Rolex watch inside a condo for 8 months.
And why you got that many red bottom shoes? Isn't that for women? Is it like the red bottoms?
No, they got red bottoms for men too.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so like it's just a designer shoe.
Oh, okay. So, but like, why you got that? You ain't gonna wear them. Like, why are they in there
for 8 months? Right?
Why you got 3 flat screen TVs and no electricity? I'm just like,
right.
I'm like, and I looked at him, and like, I'm just like, and at that point, I'm just like, they trying to set me up.
Trying to set you up.
Right. I'm like, because I know it wasn't no TVs, but I was thinking like, well, let me just check just to see. Maybe I didn't see it. Maybe somebody did have it. I thought I was gonna ask around, do the right thing. But then and then I looked at, I'm like, they know good and well. So then so when the police got there, of course I showed the police all my paperwork showing it, and I told them what happened and that it was an honest mistake. The police were actually really nice. It was 2 white guys. Police, they were surprisingly nice, but Smiley was there. He was visiting. He was on his knees praying the entire time this was happening. He was on his knees praying. And so he was like, so I think that the reason the police were even surprised, I mean, like, that was prayer. Because that was like, because I can actually see like the angle, like everybody else, like it was calamity. And I just thought that I was just going to have to sit up in jail and figure this out later. I don't know. Because I was trying to get things situated. But I showed the police my paperwork. The police told me I need to find somewhere to hide. They was like, you got somewhere safe that you can go. The police told me that. They said, you got somewhere safe you can go. Oh, and then they told them that this looked like it's an honest mistake. And then it's a civil matter. If you're missing something, you're just going to have to take it to court. And they knew that was just like, that guy don't have no Rolex watch, the police. But I think they messed up because they should have had a white dude instead of a black dude. Maybe, I don't know. Because it's like, come on now. But it was but the situation that kind of escalated from that point was that security guard that put me in handcuffs. He started stalking me after that because he was upset that the police didn't arrest me. And so I felt threatened I did not show up at my own condos because he broke into my. So I went to, because my mom and
he broke into your condo?
He broke into several of my condos.
Several of your condos?
Yes, because he said that the police don't know. Like, he was telling me that the police weren't doing their job. And that was like, nah, this dude is crazy.
So, basically, he's trying to make you run away from your condo.
He was trying to kill me. Yeah. That's when he looked like the kind of person.
Yeah,
and I told my workers that they were like, it's not that serious. I'm like, everybody say that until somebody die.
Yeah, true.
Because if like this is a white man in leadership of a position, he thinks that the police are not doing their job. Like, what you think he's trying to do? He said,
okay, I'm going to do the job.
Exactly. He's trying to get rid of me. He's trying to kill me. Like, this, I'm not, so I did not show it back up because that guy was, like, when he broke into the next day, he stalked me and broke into the unit that I was in when I was at my mom's. And I had to call the police on him. And on the security guard, the same security guard that tried to put me in handcuffs, the very next day, when the police said everything, I was like, the police, we already discussed this. The police said it's a civil matter because he came to my door to the condo that my mom's condo that she bought, and he was knocking on there because she had a condo, I had 8. She just had one.
You should have one.
She's smart. Like, she's smarter than me. So, but I should.
You should have just got one.
Like it really wouldn't have been all this. But I was trying to do something good.
Yeah.
Like I was trying to get people together and connected. I was trying to
Take that chance. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like, I'm glad I took the risk. But it's just like, but that was like, that's when that security guard started stalking me, and then when I called the police on him, it was a black officer that came, and this time, and that black officer took that security guard away
real quick.
Yeah,
you wasn't gonna play with him.
Oh yes, I did not see that security guard for a year, but when he showed back up, a year later and was still stalking me. Like seriously. I'm like,
he wanted you out of there. He wanted you out.
He was the head security guard of that place.
Wow. Did you like report him to? I mean, he the head security guard. You gonna report him to beside the police? You can't report him to him. I mean, yeah, he is the head security guard. So like, who is he gonna report him to? But yeah, that's crazy. Wow, he breaking into your condo.
He broke into a lot of my he broke into the condo and cut the electricity off manually to one of my units. That what else he do? He was like,
now that's just hate. That's just pure hate right there.
He was he hated me.
Yeah.
For no reason.
Yeah, he hated you because you didn't go to jail.
He hated me because I was a black woman who owned 8 condos and he didn't have none. He was poor. Like that's what that was. That was that jealousy that you see that attacks.
Right. Especially when you a woman and you like you doing the thing.
Right.
With 8 condos. I mean you making stuff work. You finna make this money, basically. You finna make this money.
I was making money, right?
He's like, not this woman, man. She ain't no way. I'm not finna let her to do this.
Right.
And so
he's
so that's more power.
He's working at the condos. He ain't making money. He not doing pulling in.
Right. You the one who own these 8 condos, not one, like 8. Like that's a lot of condos to own, especially for a black woman. Like your first time coming in, a young black woman, first time coming in. On the strip, like this where people come in. I mean, this where people go on vacation at. So these houses gonna be taken care of.
Like $400,000 each potential value after fixed up and stuff of 8 condos. Like I instantly had a net worth of over $1 million. And so that was, and I'm driving.
Right, and I think this story is this story is very inspiring. Like don't be afraid to take that risk.
Right.
I mean, because a lot of times, man, we be afraid to take that risk because we don't know how stuff going to work out. We always think of the worst. We don't never think about what if this would have happened. Right. Like, you took that risk. If you took one condo, you would never had that network. Could you have that network if you took one condo?
Not at that time.
Not at that time. Not that quickly. Okay.
I will say this. This was a bad investment.
It was okay. Bad investment.
Because it did not work out. Because of the fact that he was still, when he came back, I had to there was no way I could go. I was not going to risk my life to fight for no money. Right. Okay. Yes. So because I'm just like, if I did this once, I could do this again. But it gave me tough skin. To I actually let those condos go into HOA foreclosure again.
Wow.
So I don't have those anymore because I could not think when they started, because I actually had moved my son into one of the condos and they were harassing him.
Wow.
And I'm just like, that can't. Oh, and then I think that I was helping some people. It was a lot of things because I was helping somebody out and then they trashed one of the places that they weren't supposed to be in. And this is like when you look at black folks like, why y'all do that? Well, I was trying to help you out.
I was trying to help you out. Why you do that?
Right. So it was just like, man, it was too much stuff for me to. It was mismanaged.
Okay, miss. Okay.
And so I took that as a loss because of it's mismanaged. So I learned a lesson, that it's like I can't just go in granted, I'm glad I took the risk because I know what mistakes I made in order to prepare for the future. And if I take a risk like that again, I know that I need to have a direct plan on what I'm going to do with each of them units and a timeline and a schedule and some people besides new people, because the people all my people that were under me were all new. I need to have mentors and people that have done this before, no matter what ethnicity they are, and then just kind of have a plan, a set plan, a goal, and a start and an end before I even jump into something like that in the future.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
Amazing. That's amazing. That story is really crazy.
Yeah.
It's
That's
like
crazy story.
it don't matter what you do. It's like it's gonna be right there, waiting
Oh
on you.
yeah.
Like
Oh my
it's like don't
goodness.
matter what you do, and that's crazy. And you mentioned that Somali was on his knees praying, and I know you was said something about prayer before. Like it's scientifically proven that it
Oh
works. Like, can you talk a little bit
yeah.
about that?
So I was there's some I was reading an article. It was like a health magazine or something, or a health journal. Like I do a lot of when I research a lot of things, and I research like peer reviewed journals and things. So I was reading about something that was written about how prayer actually was scientifically proven to work because it changes the molecular structure of water molecules when you pray. So that's just like Jesus is the living water. It
I mean,
literally
yeah, he is
changes.
the living water. Yeah, he
Right.
literally changed your life. He can change your life just like that.
Yes,
Yeah.
you pray and it changes the molecular structure of water molecules. We all are made of water. Like we're like 70% of water. So when you pray, it literally changes you.
It
Changes
it
the
changed the balance of water.
it changes the molecular structure. Like it's like
What?
they start shaping in different forms. And they start organizing. They go from chaos to order.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Uh,
that's something that you can just look up, like, and some of it's like like they say that it's positive words. Like that's what some of the research will say. If you can't find it under prayer, then you look up how positive words versus negative words changes the molecular structures of water and stuff. And so that's a scientific proof that prayer works. So he was on his
Wow.
knees praying, and that prayer worked.
And that prayer worked.
Yeah. It changed the molecular structure of the police.
Right? And that whole
That
situation.
whole situation.
But we don't know what happened to the security guard.
I don't
Yeah,
even
he
know.
was just he was just out of
He
whack.
was gone
He
for
was
a
just-
year after that.
Then just
So I
came
mean,
back.
like he came back. So I feel like he was arrested, and he was really mad. If that's the case, he was really trying to get rid of me. If I had him arrested for a year.
Yeah, he was trying to this.
Because like the black officer, he looked at my paperwork. He said, "I don't like what they're doing, and I don't like what they're doing to you." He said, "I don't like how they treating you," because he was mad. I was like, "Yes, do something." Like he was like if somebody's uncle came in town, like
Right.
I was so happy that was because he did something about that security guard because I didn't see him for a year.
Right. That's why it's great to have people that look like us up in leadership positions.
Right, yeah.
In different authoritative positions to help us out.
Right.
In different situations where we really need help, where we really
Right,
did
'cause that
nothing
was
wrong.
something-
Like
yeah.
we need somebody to come in and help us.
Right, exactly. And we needed that. I needed that because he actually was he actually helped. He helped like because during a year, like it was a year time, and there was nobody, there was no attack for a whole year. And I guess we had the Airbnb rental out, like my mom's unit and stuff. Like she made some money off of that and everything. And so it was a productive year. I still had my workers doing stuff. But at the end of the day, they had a place to live. Like even if I lost the condos.
Wow, so that's amazing. Like you putting other black people in houses and giving them
Right.
ownership.
Right. Well, trying to train them.
Trying to train them for ownership.
I'm trying to train them for ownership and investing and showing them and I'm, like there was just like paying them on people that probably wouldn't even pay them and giving them an opportunity to see how things work on the inside and, trying to help people out in that way, not just so that they could be dependent. Like I'm gonna just help you guys out and just it wasn't just like here's a place and then here's a whole bunch of rules. It was kind of like a family. The way that I tried to have is to set up.
That's amazing. I love that. And you also invest in Bitcoin too. You do a lot of Bitcoin investing.
Well, yeah. Well, yes. I feel like we should just take. I don't like the dollar at all. Because it's just I don't like banks anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
Like
you're not getting into why you don't like banks, but
I could say a little bit. Like I started investing in Bitcoin in 2014. I started looking into Bitcoin, and this was after I had put a lot of money in stock. Well, I didn't put a lot of money in stock. I made a lot of money in the stock market in 2014, and then they took it from me. Like the bank, I made over $400,000 in the stock market within a short period of months' time, just by day trading, like multiple transactions at the same day. But then they told me that you cannot make money off of a trade on the same, like you have to wait 3 business days before investing in another stock after you made money in one stock. And because I violated those rules, they manually wrote off my earnings in a book and then closed my accounts. And I made, so that was 400,000 that was just erased.
It's gone.
It was erased. Yeah. And I really feel like they did this. I feel like they did this because I was black. Because at first they were like flagging it, then they said I had to send in my ID, and then I sent in my ID, and then all of a sudden they closed my account. That happened before. Again, like when I had another bank account, it was like $70,000 balance. They're telling me like, you got to verify that it's yours, this and this. Like they actually mailed the check. They closed it because it was suspicious activity. They mailed the check, but the check was forwarded to a wrong address or something. So I was just trying to get that situated. This was recently, like not even a year ago that I'm telling you about this. But so I did all that. Well, I told them, they told me to show my ID, like send my ID. I sent my ID. And then all of a sudden they said, I'm not eligible for my own money. $70,000 just erased. So that's why I don't like banks, because it's like they see me and then they see that balance and they say that don't belong.
That don't match.
And they erase. Right. And I've had that happen to me. Like that's two very specific like incidents where the banks have stolen basically $500,000 from me. Just erased it. Like it wasn't even there. And then I got into Bitcoin in 2014 after they basically took my $400,000.
Man, that's why people so suspicious about banks. Like I be suspicious about banks too.
Yeah,
because sometimes my money be in there, sometimes it don't.
Right.
And I'm saying I had that much in there. Like I ain't never had that much in there. Right. But just saying, like, 'cause sometimes your money be in there, sometimes it don't.
Exactly.
And like you don't know what they doing with your money anyway.
Exactly.
Like they getting your money and making investments and making like 10, 20, 15% on what you get, but your savings only get like 0.3%. Okay, 0.1. 0.1. Like right. It does not match up. Like,
and then if you do one thing wrong, $29.
$29. Like you can't even take out right. You can't even take out your own savings of your own money 3 times in a month, or you're gonna get charged $3.
Right.
For your own money.
That part.
Like this is crazy.
You can't even take $5,000 out at once. If you have more than that, you can't take that out cash without them doing a freaking FBI report on you. They have to do they really have to do a federal report on you and report it to the FBI that you're taking out more than $5,000. Your own money.
Of your own
that's
money.
That's not
y'all's money. But you still using my money to make your investments and get 20% on my money with your investments. But I'm getting 0.1% from you. Which is the man, it just don't add up. It's not fair.
Our money like it's theirs and it's not. So that's why I don't like it. Okay. Like it's not y'all money. Is mine's. Y'all is a storage unit for my money. You are not the owners of my money. That's why I don't like them banks.
Right. That's why
they don't think that they're
and especially like the big banks. So I think that's why it's better to have like a credit union.
Yeah, credit unions
are fine. But like these huge banks like Wells Fargo, Regions, and like all these other Bank of America.
Oh yeah.
Like no.
I don't trust it. Yep.
You can't trust it at all.
Right. I don't trust banks. But like the thing I started reading about Bitcoin in 2014 because I was like I wanted to pull away from banks for real. And so then I started 2 Bitcoin nodes that were mining nodes on my computer, and I was mining Bitcoin myself. So I actually didn't have to put any money into it. I was reading about it and I was mining it. And so I earned Bitcoin that way. And that was 6 years ago. I didn't even think that Bitcoin would be like this, like the way it is now. I didn't even think of that. So
it sure is growing now. Everybody trying to get in Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. But I was telling everybody in 2015 that's one of those things. I was like one of those crazy people. I was like, pull your money away from the banks, go to Bitcoin. Wasn't nobody listening to me in 2015. They would, except for Smiley, but he spent it on Disney vacation though. But no, he still
Wow.
got. No, he still,
Okay, he's still good.
No,
Don't
he's still good.
Disney vacation.
No, he was, because I was telling him about the things that I was reading, and I was just like, it's gonna be making money, and he did that. Like he put money into it.
Okay,
so he actually
wow.
did listen. But I do wish he put more into it. But he invested in something that, like during that time, I was making a lot of investments, even because one of the things that did work out was helping him put money into an investment in a house that was just a 3,500 square foot 5-bedroom vacation home in Vegas that he got for real cheap.
So y'all know who to talk to if you trying to get these houses done, trying to get anything about tech, Black history. I mean, I don't know how you keep all that stuff in your mind, like from Black history to tech to hacking.
Oh yeah,
I mean, like, wow, it's just amazing.
I just got amazing. My mind is, if you went inside my mind, you'd be like trying to. It's crowded in there.
Yeah,
it's a lot of things. I try to organize myself in the best I can, but.
So, like, any last thoughts for like the viewers that's watching? Any last thoughts?
Okay, I have I guess it's a hypothetical question, and this is based off of, basically, I want to say that for people who feel like they don't have any money to get started on things, and they don't feel like they can, because like there's a lot of people that just don't even have $1, like for real. And so, because we see that, and like that's happened to me before, where I didn't even have 10 cents. I've been on this, like I've been homeless, I've been like all that. I was a single mom, and I had to I wasn't getting hired for work. I had to hack the electric company to turn my power on, because I ain't have a dime for that. So it was, that stuff. Like I know some people can't just hack their power on, but like I know the struggle. I've been there. So, but what I want to say is that time, we're all given the same amount of time, no matter what, if you're rich or poor, and time is a universal currency. And that's one of the things that we need to utilize. And so I kind of want to ask, just if you were given $100, if somebody told you, I will give you $100 an hour for the rest of your life, what would you spend that $100 on? What would you spend your money on if someone gave you $100 an hour every hour for the rest of your life? But the catch is you cannot save it. If you do not spend that $100 in that hour, it's going to be taken away.
Wow, that's good.
Yeah, so that's what I want people to think about. What if you had $100 an hour for the rest of your life? How would you spend it if it was taken away? The same, if you didn't spend it, and that's what I look at when it comes to time. I know sometimes I like it seems like I procrastinate. I don't like to waste time. I am always either thinking of something new, doing something, learning, reading. Like, how am I using my time? Utilizing sleeping is important too. Resting, self-care. That's don't think that you have to stay awake. You need sleep because you have to be able to think straight too. Mm-hmm. It is okay to socialize and stuff too, and to that's a part of that. So it's kind of like organizing all of that and making it work to where you're successful and you're not wasteful. And to instead of sitting around complaining about something, don't sit around and talk about, we ain't do this, we ain't do that, we ain't do this. Oh, well, you got to just kind of take it as fact. Okay, this didn't happen, and then move on. I had a lot of investments, had a lot of loss. If I sat here whining about how the bank took $400,000 from me, that's a big deal. That's a reason to
that's
cry.
That's a reason. I'll be crying. I'll be crying to this day.
Yeah. But if I didn't continue on, then I would have never gotten into Bitcoin. I just continued on. It hurt, yeah, but I continued on. I had my car stolen from me, 3 cars stolen from me. I had to move on. This is Vegas living. But yeah,
Vegas living is rough living.
That's rough. It's rough, but it gave me tough skin.
Yeah.
I didn't realize how weak my skin was till I was in Vegas. I was in Mississippi, just weak skinned, and all this humidity just sliding off of me. And I had to get to Vegas and
toughen up.
Right. Now I'm just like, don't let nobody mess with me.
Like, what up?
Like, what?
Yeah.
Right. Somebody could be on the street. I'd be like, hey, what up? They trying to rob me. I'm just like, what?
What?
What you want? Like, what you really need? Like, I actually wouldn't hesitate to ask if somebody was like harassed, like I usually ask that. Like some people, if they're afraid of somebody that's approaching them, even asking for money, and I'm just like, what you really need? What's your issue? Like that's one of the things that I do now. Like when it comes to people. But yeah. But anyway, but just think about that. You utilize your time wisely. Make connections, network. And that's
make it happen.
Yeah, make it happen.
Make it happen. Wow, that all I have to say. This right here was an amazing episode, Siobhan. I mean, the wisdom, the knowledge that was spread and dropped in this episode, y'all probably had to watch the episode at least 2 or 3 times just to get every single thing you were saying. So I thank you for coming on this show. I thank you for giving us wisdom and stories that will help us and motivate us, especially in this time. Because we definitely need motivation. And people are trying to grow businesses. People are trying to make stuff happen. People trying to bring Black Wall Street back.
Right.
And so I thank you. Cause you like you're not scared. You're not scared at all. And so man, you just gave me encouragement. So I don't need to be scared either. I need to be able to take that leap of faith, and take that action, and take that risk, man. Cause even through when you went through all these things, your risk, it came out reward. Like you lost 400,000. You gained Bitcoin. You learn how to do the real estate thing by investing in 8 condos instead of 1. Right. But hey, this is amazing, and I'm just so glad. And so you heard what she said. Time is so important, you guys. So let's make sure that we spending our time wisely, especially during this time now. We got so much time on our hands. We feel like we can just wait till tomorrow, wait till next week to get things done. But time goes by so fast. So let's make sure our time is spent in valuable ways. So thank y'all, Daily Thinkers, for listening. But most of all, just remember, keep thinking, keep questioning, keep asking. But most of all, keep trusting Christ Jesus. And thank you, Siobhan, for coming on the show.